I said the baby, it's mine, right? That night she replied, no, I just ate too much. Built on the rocky plains of Kepler 442b, it was humanity's first attempt at a permanent colony outside the solar system. People were still adjusting to life on a world so different from Earth, its gravity slightly stronger, the air thinner, and the sky a deep, swirling mix of purples and oranges. Yet, despite all the challenges, humans had begun to thrive here. Dr. Adrian Kessler walked slowly through the central garden, his boots crunching softly against the recycled soil. The garden was a miracle of human engineering. Enclosed under a massive transparent dome, it housed trees, plants, and flowers from Earth. A river of clear, purified water ran through it, and strange alien flora that had been carefully cultivated added colors no human had ever seen. Adrian loved this place. It reminded him that humans could not just survive in alien worlds, they could flourish. But today something felt strange. He noticed movement near the northern edge of the garden. It was subtle at first, a tiny shadow darting between the alien ferns. Adrian frowned. He had walked this path 1,000 times. Nothing should move here except the plants swaying in the artificial wind. "Hello," he called softly, hoping it was one of the younger colonists playing around. There was no answer. Then he saw it. A small, fragile creature, no taller than a human toddler, crouched near a patch of glowing alien flowers. Its skin shimmered faintly in shades of silver and blue, like liquid metal reflecting light. Its large, round eyes, too large for its tiny head, blinked up at him. Adrian froze. It wasn't an animal. At least, he didn't recognize it as any Earth creature. Its shape was humanoid, but the proportions were wrong. The limbs were long and thin, and the head was slightly too large for its body. Yet somehow it looked familiar. "Where did you come from?" Adrian whispered. The creature made a soft, melodic sound like a mixture of humming and whispering. It didn't cry. It didn't scream. It just watched him, tilting its head in curiosity. Adrian's heart raced. Finding alien life wasn't new in the reports from Kepler 442b, but this was different. This was intelligent. "Maris," he called, stepping back to the nearby habitat dome. A young woman appeared, brushing dirt from her jumpsuit. Maris was one of the agricultural specialists at the station. She looked tired, as if she had been working all night, but her sharp brown eyes noticed Adrian's serious expression immediately. "What's wrong?" she asked. Adrian pointed to the small creature. "Do you know what that is?" Maris walked closer, squinting at it, her mouth curved in a small, awkward smile. "Oh, that." "Yes, that." Adrian's voice was tense. "Where did it come from? Did someone bring it here?" Maris shrugged, looking slightly embarrassed. I don't think so. I just found it near the supply dome. I thought it was, I don't know, one of the native species. But then," she trailed off, glancing at the creature, then away again. Adrian frowned. He could sense that she was hiding something, or at least not telling him the whole truth. But before he could ask more, the creature reached out with its tiny hands. Its touch was cold, almost metallic but strangely gentle. It pressed a finger against Mari's wrist. Her eyes widened. She gasped softly. "Oh, it's okay. Really, it's fine." Adrian's brow furrowed. "Fine, Mari's, it's an alien child, or something like a child. We don't know what it can do." Mari shook her head quickly. "No, it's harmless. I mean it just followed me back from the garden last night, that's all." Adrian stared at her. "Last night?" "Yes," she said, biting her lip. "I was walking after dinner. You know, just getting some fresh air. And then it was there. I didn't take it anywhere. Well," she hesitated. Her cheeks turned pink. "I just ate too much and felt dizzy. I must have bumped into it or something." Adrian blinked. "You bumped into an alien life form and it followed you back," Maris nodded, looking down at the ground. "I didn't think much of it. I thought maybe it was just curious." Adrian ran a hand through his hair. This was impossible. The creature was too small, too fragile to survive alone on Kepler 442b. The nights were cold and the terrain was dangerous. Someone must have placed it here intentionally. Maurice, listen to me, he said, lowering his voice. This isn't just curiosity. That thing is intelligent. I can feel it. And if it's smart enough to survive out here, then it's smart enough to communicate. We need to study it, carefully. Maurice nodded slowly. I know, I didn't want to tell anyone because I didn't want it taken away. I thought maybe it's supposed to be here with me. Adrian's eyes widened. Supposed to be with you. Maurice, it's an alien. You can't, it doesn't, we don't even know if it's safe. I know, she said softly, but something about it feels human, or at least like it understands me. Adrian looked at the creature again. It tilted its head and hummed softly, reaching for Mari's hand. She picked it up carefully, holding it close. The creature's eyes blinked slowly, almost as if it were smiling. Adrian's mind raced. Humanity had always believed that intelligence and emotion were unique. And yet here was proof that on an alien world something could mirror human behavior, even form a bond with a human almost instantly. Okay, Adrian said finally. We have to bring it to the lab, slowly, carefully. I don't want anyone panicking if they see it. And Maurice, you need to stay calm. The creature reacts to emotion. If you get scared, it might do something unexpected. Maurice nodded, her grip on the infant tightening slightly. I'll be careful. As they walked toward the lab, Adrian couldn't help but steal glances at the creature. It was small, fragile, but already adapting. Its movements were cautious, but there was a spark in its eyes, curiosity, intelligence, awareness. By the time they reached the lab, the sun of Kepler 442b was dipping behind jagged mountains, casting long shadows across the station. The lab's airlock hissed open, and Adrian guided Maurice and the creature inside. All right, he said, closing the door behind them. First step, observation. No experiments yet, we just watch, see how it reacts, take notes. Do not touch it unless necessary. Maurice placed the creature in a soft, padded containment area, speaking to it in a gentle voice. It cooed in response, stretching its tiny arms. Adrian watched in awe. Humanity's first alien contact on Kepler 442b, he whispered. And it's already bonding with one of us. Maurice looked up at him. Do you think it understands us? Adrian paused, choosing his words carefully. I think it understands more than we realize. And I think it's trying to tell us something important. The creature blinked up at them, and for a moment the lab felt alive in a way it never had before. The humming, the soft coos, the curious eyes, all of it hinted at a connection that was deeper than mere biology. Something about humans, perhaps humanity itself, had drawn it here. Adrian felt a shiver of both excitement and unease. Humanity had always dreamed of reaching the stars, of discovering alien life. But this was different. This was not a distant observation. This was personal. And as Maurice whispered softly to the creature, Adrian realized that whatever this being was, it had already begun to change everything they knew about life, intelligence, and the future of human colonization. For the first time since the station had been built, Adrian felt the full weight of the unknown pressing against humanity's fragile existence. And he knew that what came next would test not just their technology, but their very nature as human beings. The next morning, the lab was quiet. The hum of the life support systems and the soft whirring of air circulation filled the space. Sunlight from Kepler 442b's twin suns streamed through the lab's reinforced windows, casting long shadows over the walls. Dr. Adrian Kessler sat at a table covered with notes, data pads, and observation charts, watching the small creature that Maurice had named Lyra. Lyra, though small and fragile, was already showing signs of unusual intelligence. Its large eyes scanned everything, taking in the lab, the plants, the strange machines, and the humans who now watched it so closely. Every move it made seemed deliberate. It tilted its head, reached for tools, and cooed at Maurice whenever she approached. Adrian frowned at the readings on the monitor. Lyra's heartbeat and metabolism were strange, more variable than any human, more adaptive than any known Earth species. Its skin, shimmering with faint blue patterns, appeared to change slightly in response to temperature and light. "Maris," Adrian said gently, "we need to be careful. I don't want you to interact too much without supervision. If it senses you differently than others, we need to understand why." Maris shook her head. "I can't help it, Adrian. It responds to me differently. Yesterday, I could almost feel what it was thinking, like it understood me." Adrian rubbed his temples. "That's what worries me. It might not be dangerous, but it's unusual, extremely unusual. Humans have never bonded so quickly with an alien species, especially one we don't even understand." Maris crouched near Lyra, who reached for her hand. "It's not scary, Adrian. Look at it. It just wants connection." Adrian nodded slowly. He understood that humans had a natural tendency to empathize, to form bonds, but this was beyond empathy. There was a sense of intelligence, awareness, and adaptation in Lyra that he had never seen before. The lab doors opened, and the station's AI, Eus, spoke in its calm, neutral voice. "Dr. Kessler, initial genetic scans of the entity are complete. Lyra does not match any known human or alien DNA. Its genome appears to be a hybrid of multiple unknown sources. Probability of Earth origin influence, negligible." Adrian swallowed. "Eus, run a comparative analysis with the database of all discovered Kepler 442b lifeforms." "Analysis complete," Eus replied instantly. "No match found, unknown species, unknown origin. Behavioral patterns indicate high intelligence and adaptive capacity. Recommend observation only." Adrian glanced at Maris. "See, we have no idea what it is, or why it came here, or why it interacts with you." Maris sighed but didn't move away from Lyra. "I don't know, Adrian. But I feel like it trusts me. I think it knows I won't hurt it." Adrian studied them both. Lyra's shimmering skin flickered slightly, almost like a pulse, in response to Mari's voice. Adrian had a thought that made his stomach twist with both fear and excitement. Could humans have some latent ability, an instinctual bond, that allowed them to connect with alien life in ways other species could not? He didn't want to jump to conclusions, but every signal pointed in that direction. Over the next few hours, Adrian recorded every interaction. Lyra responded to Mari's voice, her gestures, even her emotions. When Maris laughed softly, Lyra's eyes lit up, and its body vibrated faintly in excitement. When Maris frowned or looked anxious, Lyra would cling closer to her, as if seeking comfort. Adrian observed quietly, jotting notes furiously. Every action, every reaction, every pulse of Lyra's shimmering skin was data, but there was more than just data here. There was something human in the connection, something unique to the species. That evening the station's lights dimmed, signaling the start of the daily rest cycle. Mari stayed with Lyra, rocking it gently. The creature hummed softly, resting its head against her shoulder. Adrian watched them, a strange mix of awe and disbelief rising in him. "You know," he said carefully, breaking the silence, "it's responding to you the way a human child might respond to its mother or parent." Maris looked at him. "Do you think I'm supposed to be its parent?" Adrian shook his head. "I don't know. I don't know if it even understands the concept of parentage, but it recognizes you, something about you it's drawn to." Maris smiled faintly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I don't know why. Maybe it's because I didn't panic yesterday. Maybe it senses humans are different. Maybe it knows we're adaptable." Adrian frowned, considering her words. Humans were adaptable. That was one of the things that had allowed them to colonize Kepler 442b in the first place. Humans had survived in conditions no other species could tolerate. Perhaps it wasn't just technology that made them special. Perhaps there was something deeper, something innate. He turned back to the monitors. Lyra's biological systems were astounding. Its body seemed to adapt in real time to environmental changes. Temperature, humidity, air pressure, even small fluctuations in gravity, they barely affected it. Humans could survive extreme conditions with help, but this creature could adjust instinctively. And yet here it was, drawn to humans, drawn to one human in particular. Adrian's mind raced. What if humanity's adaptability wasn't just physical? What if there was a psychological or emotional component that allowed humans to connect with other forms of life, forms that no other species could understand? Maris, he said softly, I think, I think we're witnessing something incredible. Not just alien intelligence, but a bond, something humans can do that nothing else can. Maris looked down at Lyra, whose eyes met hers. The creature reached out, brushing her cheek with a tiny hand. She smiled. I think it's trying to tell us something. Adrian watched carefully. Every movement was deliberate. Every reaction was meaningful. He realized that observing Lyra wasn't enough. They needed to understand how it thought. Over the next week, Adrian and Maris developed a system. Maris would interact with Lyra using simple gestures, sounds, and words. Adrian would record the responses. They quickly noticed patterns. When Maris spoke certain phrases, Lyra's skin shimmered in response. When she gestured toward specific objects, it would follow or mimic her movement. When she showed affection, it would coo, vibrate, and extend its limbs to touch her gently. It was learning, and it was teaching them too. One evening, as the twin suns dipped behind the mountains, Adrian watched Maris laugh. Lyra clutched her hand, humming in delight. Adrian whispered to himself, Humanity, we may have underestimated ourselves. Perhaps this connection is our greatest strength. Maris looked up at him, sensing his thoughts. Do you think it's testing us? Adrian shook his head slowly. No, I think it's showing us. Showing us that humans are more than technology, more than machines. That we can survive, adapt, and connect in ways nothing else can. For the first time, Adrian felt a spark of hope that went beyond science. Humanity's future on Kepler 442b was uncertain, yes. Dangerous, yes. But Lyra's presence was proof that humans were not helpless. And as night fell over the station, Lyra rested in Maris's arms, its shimmering skin faintly glowing in the dim light. Adrian realized that this tiny creature might be the key to understanding not just alien life, but what it truly means to be human. They were no longer just explorers on a distant planet. They were witnesses to a connection that transcended species. And for humanity, that connection might just become their greatest advantage in the vast, unknown galaxy. Adrian's final thought before leaving the lab that night was simple. If humans could form bonds like this, if they could inspire trust and empathy in a completely alien being, then maybe, just maybe, they were capable of far more than they had ever imagined. The morning on Elysium Station began quietly, with the pale light of Kepler 442b spilling through the reinforced windows. Adrian Kessler entered the lab, coffee in hand, and immediately noticed the shimmer of Lyra's skin. It had grown brighter overnight, reflecting the soft sunlight in pulsing patterns that seemed almost musical. Maris was already there, crouched by Lyra, speaking softly to the small creature. Good morning, she said. Did you sleep well? Lyra cooed and stretched its tiny limbs, blinking up at her. It was alive with energy but calm, like a child waking in a familiar home. Adrian watched silently. He had spent the night analyzing the data from the previous week. Lyra's biological systems were extraordinary. Its body could adapt instantly to environmental changes, temperature fluctuations, air pressure, even minor shifts in gravity. But there was more. Its brain activity indicated rapid learning, with a pattern that suggested it could interpret human gestures, voice tones, and even emotions. Maris, Adrian said gently, I think it's ready for the next step. Maris looked at him with concern. The next step? Yes, Adrian replied. We've been observing and recording, but now I think it's time to see if it can respond to more complex problems. Not just gestures, not just simple commands, but challenges. Things humans take for granted, problem solving. Maurice hesitated. Do you think it can handle that? It's so small, so fragile. Adrian smiled faintly. Fragile, yes, but intelligent and more importantly, adaptable. That's what makes it different. That's what makes it human compatible. Together, they set up a series of small tests in the lab. Blocks, levers, colored panels, simple mechanical puzzles, designed to be solved by observation, trial and error, or creative thinking. Lyra's eyes sparkled with curiosity as it approached the first puzzle, a small box with a sliding panel. Adrian leaned close. Show it, Maurice. Demonstrate the first step. Maurice placed a small cube in the box, sliding the panel open for Lyra to see. The creature tilted its head, studying her movements carefully. It reached out with tiny hands, mimicking her actions. At first it fumbled. The cube fell, but Lyra's eyes didn't panic. Instead, it tried again. And again. Adrian scribbled notes furiously. See that? It's learning by observation. Not just copying, it's analyzing. Within minutes, Lyra had solved the puzzle. It cooed in delight, holding up the cube as if to say, "Look, I did it." Maurice laughed softly. "That's amazing. It's so smart." Adrian nodded, excitement and awe battling with caution. "Yes, and that's just the beginning. Let's try the next challenge." The puzzles became increasingly complex. Lyra learned to manipulate levers, recognize colors, and even combine objects to achieve a goal. It responded to Mari's voice commands, her gestures, and even subtle emotional cues. When she sounded frustrated, Lyra would pause and wait. When she smiled, it seemed to understand encouragement. "This isn't just intelligence," Adrian said quietly to Maurice. "It's adaptability. It's responding to humans, not just the puzzles." Maurice nodded, holding Lyra gently. "It's like it's connecting with me, not just thinking but understanding." Adrian's mind raced. Humanity had always considered themselves intelligent because of their brains, technology, and creativity. But perhaps it wasn't just intelligence. It was empathy, adaptability, and connection that set them apart. Perhaps this was what allowed humans to thrive on a planet like Kepler 442b, and perhaps this was what drew Lyra to Maurice in the first place. By midday, Lyra was performing tasks that no alien species in recorded history had managed so quickly. It opened boxes, arranged objects, and even seemed to anticipate Mari's next move. Adrian noticed something remarkable. Lyra wasn't just learning, it was predicting, reasoning in ways that were subtle, nuanced, and almost human. "Adrian," Mari said quietly, "I think it's trying to communicate, not with words but through its actions." Adrian considered her words carefully. "You might be right. If that's true, then every puzzle, every movement is a form of language. We just have to understand it." They spent hours together, experimenting, observing, and documenting. By evening, Lyra had solved almost every puzzle presented to it, often in ways Adrian and Maurice hadn't anticipated. It had started combining multiple steps, creating new strategies, and even improvising solutions when the tools weren't exactly right. Adrian leaned back, astonished. "It's teaching itself, and teaching us at the same time," Maurice nodded. "And it's teaching me about humans, about what we can do." That night, Adrian reviewed all the recordings. He noticed patterns he hadn't realized before. Lyra's responses were not just reactions, they were adaptations to human behavior. It adjusted its approach based on subtle cues, tone of voice, facial expressions, and even hesitation. "This is incredible," Adrian whispered. "It's proof that humans have something unique, something no other species can replicate. Our ability to inspire trust, to guide, to connect, it's innate. Lyra recognizes it and it's responding accordingly." He paused. The implications were staggering. Humanity's survival, its ability to colonize new worlds, might not be due solely to technology or physical endurance, but to this very trait, adaptability and empathy. Perhaps this was what made humans exceptional in the galaxy. The next morning, Adrian decided to test Lyra in a new way. He prepared a simple obstacle course in the lab, small walls, ramps, tunnels, and objects scattered in a pattern. The goal was simple: reach a glowing panel at the end of the course. Maris crouched near the start. "You can do it," she whispered to Lyra, who blinked and hummed softly. The creature moved cautiously at first, scanning the course. Its tiny hands tested the walls, its legs adjusted as it climbed over obstacles, and its eyes darted toward Maris for guidance. When she nodded or gestured, Lyra adjusted its path accordingly. Halfway through, it encountered a small barrier it had never seen before, a combination of a low wall and a lever. Lyra froze, blinking rapidly. Adrian held his breath. Then, slowly, carefully, it examined the lever. Its tiny hands moved with precision, and it nudged the wall with a small push. When the lever clicked, the barrier shifted. Lyra continued, climbing over the ramp and finally reaching the glowing panel. It cooed triumphantly, stretching its arms toward Maris. Adrian and Maris exchanged a look. This wasn't just problem-solving. This was strategic thinking. Lyra had analyzed the situation, predicted the outcome of its actions, and adapted to the environment in real time. Maris whispered softly, "It's amazing." "It's like watching a human child, but smarter, faster, and alien," Adrian nodded. "And yet it trusts us. It listens to us. It learns from us. That's the key. That's what makes it different from anything we've ever encountered." Over the next few days, the lab became a place of discovery. Adrian and Maris experimented with increasingly complex tasks, manipulating tools, solving many-mechanical problems, and even mimicking human speech patterns. Lyra responded to every challenge with remarkable speed, its intelligence and adaptability growing by the hour. But it wasn't just intelligence that impressed them. It was the bond. Lyra responded to Maris' emotions, her tone of voice, her expressions. It seemed to understand human feelings in a way no other species could. When she laughed, it vibrated with joy. When she frowned, it hesitated, waiting for guidance. When she spoke softly, it relaxed completely. Adrian watched quietly, a sense of awe building within him. Humanity had always thought of itself as fragile, vulnerable in the vast galaxy. But perhaps that was wrong. Perhaps humans had strengths that could not be measured by physical might or technology alone. Perhaps their true power was in connection, adaptability, and understanding. Late one evening, Maris held Lyra in her arms and Adrian spoke quietly. "Maris, I think this creature is showing us the future. A future where humans aren't just survivors. A future where we can teach, guide, and inspire, even alien life. That might be our greatest strength." Maris smiled softly, holding Lyra close. "And maybe, just maybe, it's teaching us what it means to be human." For the first time, Adrian allowed himself to believe that humanity was more than just technology, more than just biology. Humanity was capable of creating connections, inspiring trust, and adapting to challenges in ways no other species could. And Lyra was proof. As night fell over the station, Lyra hummed softly, its shimmering skin casting faint patterns across the lab walls. Adrian and Maris watched in silence, knowing that their small alien companion had revealed something incredible. Humanity was extraordinary, not because of what it had built, but because of what it could be. And in that moment, for the first time, Adrian understood. Lyra was not just an alien being. It was a mirror, showing humans the true measure of their strength. The next day, Elysium Station felt tense. A low hum of uncertainty vibrated through the corridors, barely noticeable but impossible to ignore. Adrian Kessler had spent hours reviewing Lyra's progress, and now a new question loomed. How would this creature fare beyond the safety of the lab? Maris carried Lyra to the observation deck, where the transparent walls overlooked the vast alien landscape of Kepler 442b. Jagged mountains stretched to the horizon, and rivers of liquid minerals reflected the sunlight like molten glass. The air shimmered in the heat, and strange plant life swayed in patterns that seemed almost musical. Adrian joined them, clipboard in hand. "We've seen what Lyra can do here, but we need to know if it can adapt outside. The world beyond the station is unpredictable. There are environmental factors, unknown terrain, and potential life forms we haven't discovered yet." Maris glanced down at Lyra, who blinked at her, humming softly. "Do you think it will be scared?" she asked. Adrian shook his head. "I think it will adapt. But we have to guide it carefully. Remember what we've learned. Lyra responds to humans, especially you. We need to be calm, confident, and supportive." With the station's AI ES monitoring every step, they prepared a small excursion. Protective suits were checked, emergency protocols reviewed, and communication systems tested. Lyra, snug in a padded carrier, hummed with curiosity, its large eyes scanning the landscape outside. As they stepped onto the observation platform and into the alien terrain, Adrian felt a rush of excitement and anxiety. Humanity had built colonies on Kepler 442b, survived harsh environments, and studied alien life. But this was different. This was personal. They were taking a fragile, intelligent being into a world it had never seen. The first steps onto the rocky ground were cautious. Lyra, cradled in Mari's arms, twitched its limbs, testing gravity, pressure, and texture. It hummed, soft vibrations traveling through Mari's arms. She smiled. "It's curious," she whispered. "It wants to explore." Adrian nodded. "That's good. Curiosity is intelligence, but we have to be careful, keep it close." They moved slowly, observing everything. Lyra watched intently, its eyes following birds-like creatures gliding over the mineral rivers. When a small gust of wind blew, Lyra's skin shimmered, adjusting colors in response to the light and temperature. Adrian took careful notes: adaptability, rapid adaptation, recognition of environmental change. Suddenly, a ripple of movement caught Adrian's attention. Across the field, a group of native Keplerian creatures approached. They were unlike anything recorded: tall, delicate, with translucent skin and long limbs ending in gentle tendrils. They moved with a rhythm that seemed almost musical, their eyes glimmering as they regarded the humans. Maris instinctively held Lyra closer. "They're watching us," she said softly. Adrian raised a hand, signaling calm. "Do not panic, stay still. Observe." The creatures approached slowly, circling the humans. Lyra's eyes widened, and for the first time it made a sound Adrian had never heard. A soft, melodic vibration, almost like a greeting. Mari's eyes met Adrian's. "It's communicating." Adrian nodded slowly. "It's using the abilities we observed in the lab. It's reacting, trying to establish trust with the aliens." The Keplerian creatures paused, observing the small, shimmering being. Then, almost simultaneously, they mimicked Lyra's hum, a gentle resonance that echoed across the field. Adrian's heart raced. Humanity had always relied on tools, weapons, and technology to establish dominance. But here, Lyra, small, fragile, and intelligent, was building a bridge through trust and empathy. Maris whispered, holding Lyra steady, "It's working, they're responding." Adrian scribbled furiously. "Observe everything. Note the rhythms, the mimicking, the responses. This is communication through adaptation, human-guided adaptation." The creatures moved closer, their tendrils brushing lightly against the rocks near Lyra. Lyra hummed back, stretching its small limbs toward them. Maris spoke softly, encouraging it, guiding its responses. Slowly, carefully, a pattern emerged. Lyra and the Keplerians were interacting, testing boundaries, learning each other's limits. Adrian watched in awe. Humanity's first contact, not with force but through trust, guidance, and adaptability. The interaction continued for hours. Lyra mirrored the creature's movements, cooed in harmony, and adjusted its glowing patterns in response to theirs. The Keplerians responded in kind, moving rhythmically, exploring without aggression. Maris laughed softly. It's beautiful. They're learning each other. Adrian smiled, but his mind raced. This was more than a simple encounter. It was proof that humans could influence alien life, not by power or fear, but by empathy, guidance, and connection. Humanity's true strength, he realized, was in its ability to teach and inspire trust across species. But the test wasn't over. As the suns dipped lower in the sky, a sudden tremor shook the ground. The mineral river rippled violently and a low, resonant sound echoed from the mountains. The Keplerian creatures froze. Lyra stiffened, its shimmering skin flickering with tension. Adrian grabbed Mari's shoulder. "Stay calm. Lyra senses our emotions. If you panic, it will react unpredictably." Maris took a deep breath, holding Lyra tightly. "It's okay," she whispered. "We can do this together." Lyra hummed in response, its small body vibrating with reassurance. Then, instinctively, it extended its arms toward the ground. The shimmer of its skin intensified, sending pulses of light that seemed to interact with the tremor. The vibrations calmed, the mineral river steadied, and the Keplerians relaxed. Adrian's jaw dropped. It's using its body to influence the environment. Adaptive response, guided by human calm. Incredible. Maris looked at him, awe in her eyes. "It saved us. It's helping them too." Adrian nodded slowly. Humanity had always faced challenges through ingenuity, strategy, and sometimes brute force. But this was different. This was collaboration through understanding, a display of what humans could achieve when they led with empathy rather than fear. As the sun set, casting long purple shadows across the alien landscape, Adrian made a decision. "We need to record this. Every detail. This is a model of human potential. Lyra is not just an alien being, we are learning from it and it from us." Maris smiled, holding Lyra close. "I think it's teaching them what humans are like, that we're different, that we don't just take, we guide, we nurture." Adrian nodded. He realized something profound. Humanity had long thought its strength came from technology, weapons, and dominance. But Lyra had shown him the truth. Humans were powerful because they could connect, inspire, and adapt. And this ability extended beyond their own species. The Keplerian creatures lingered nearby as night fell, their gentle glow reflecting in Lyra's shimmering skin. The humans, small and fragile compared to the alien landscape, had nonetheless proven their value, not through might, but through understanding. Adrian watched them quietly, a sense of pride swelling in him. Humanity's first true test on Kepler 442b had arrived, not through conflict, not through conquest, but through the simple, profound act of connection. Maris whispered softly, rocking Lyra in her arms. "Do you think they understand us now?" Adrian smiled. "Yes. And more importantly, I think they understand humanity's greatest strength. Not our weapons, not our technology, but our ability to adapt, to guide, to inspire trust. That is what makes us extraordinary." As the night deepened and the twin moons rose over the mountains, Adrian made a note in his log. Humanity's trial is not survival alone. It is connection, empathy, and adaptability. Through Lyra, we are learning what it truly means to be human. And for the first time, Adrian felt certain. No matter what challenges the galaxy might throw at them, humanity had something that no alien species could replicate. Something that could turn fragile beings into trusted guides and isolated colonies into thriving civilizations. Lyra hummed softly in Mari's arms, the shimmer of its skin reflecting the moonlight. And as Adrian watched the small creature and its gentle companions, he knew that the future of humanity, and the galaxy itself, was bright. Because in the vastness of space, where danger and uncertainty waited at every turn, humanity's greatest weapon was not strength or firepower, but the heart. The early morning on Elysium Station was calm, almost serene. The twin suns of Kepler 442b cast gentle golden and violet light over the colony. The mineral river sparkled in the sunlight, and the strange alien flora swayed in patterns that reminded humans of gentle music. For Adrian Kessler and Maurice, this piece was a rare moment of reflection after days of wonder and discovery with Lyra. Maurice carried Lyra carefully to the observation deck. The small creature hummed softly, its shimmering skin reflecting the sunlight like liquid silver. Lyra had grown more confident, more curious, and more connected to Maurice in ways that astonished both humans. Every day, it seemed to learn something new, not just about the world but about the humans who had welcomed it. Adrian joined them, carrying his data pad. "We've learned so much already," he said quietly. "Lyra has shown us abilities we never imagined. Its adaptability, intelligence, and empathy are unlike anything we've ever recorded." Maurice smiled, holding Lyra close. "And it's learning from us too. I think it understands what humans are capable of, what makes us unique." Adrian nodded. "Exactly. Humanity's strength isn't in technology or weapons. It's in our ability to connect, to adapt, and to inspire trust. Lyra is proof of that." They watched as the Keplerian creatures, still nearby from the previous day, moved gracefully across the landscape. Their translucent skin glimmered in harmony with Lyra's light, and the small alien seemed to communicate with them effortlessly. Adrian felt a thrill of awe. Humanity's first successful interspecies connection had not been achieved through dominance, fear, or force, but through understanding, guidance, and empathy. "Do you think we can take this further?" Maurice asked. "Beyond the station, beyond the observation decks?" Adrian considered. "Yes, but carefully. Lyra is fragile and so are we in this alien world. We need to prepare. But if we do this right, we could teach humans how to thrive on Kepler 442b, not just survive." Over the next few weeks, Adrian, Maurice, and Lyra conducted more field experiments. They explored nearby valleys, crossed mineral rivers, and climbed gentle slopes of the alien mountains. Each time, Lyra's adaptability and intelligence amazed them. It could navigate obstacles, sense danger, and even guide humans in certain situations. More importantly, it built trust with every native creature they encountered. One day, as they traversed a canyon filled with strange, glowing plants, Lyra suddenly stopped. Its large eyes focused on a group of Keplerian creatures far below, moving hesitantly near a small pond. The water had strange properties. It reflected light in unpredictable ways, making it hazardous for smaller creatures. Adrian and Maurice froze. "It's dangerous," Adrian whispered. "We can't go down there." Lyra, however, seemed determined. It hummed softly, shimmering brightly, and extended its arms toward the creatures below. Adrian realized something extraordinary. Lyra was communicating strategy, not just sensing danger but guiding others safely. Maurice smiled. "It's teaching them, just like it learned from us." Carefully, Adrian and Maurice followed. Lyra led the Keplerian creatures to safety, showing them safe paths and signaling when to move. The creatures responded with precision, following its instructions. Adrian's heart pounded. Humanity had survived through ingenuity, through tools, and through sheer willpower. But this was a demonstration of human-alien cooperation, guided by a small, intelligent being that humans had nurtured. By the time they reached the top of the canyon, Lyra rested in Mari's arms, exhausted but triumphant. The Keplerian creatures lingered nearby, their translucent skin glowing softly as if in gratitude. Adrian looked at Maurice. "Do you see what this means?" Maurice nodded. "Lyra has shown them that humans are different, that we can guide, we can teach, we can connect. We're not just visitors on this planet, we can be friends." Adrian smiled. "Exactly. And if humans embrace that, our adaptability, empathy, and intelligence, we can thrive anywhere in the galaxy. Lyra is just the beginning." Over the following months, the small group became a symbol of hope for the station. Lyra's ability to connect with alien life and guide them safely became a model for other colonists. Adrian and Maurice taught new teams how to interact, how to observe, and how to trust in connection rather than force. Slowly, Elysium Station became a hub not just of survival, but of collaboration, learning, and growth. One evening, as the twin suns set in a blaze of violet and gold, Adrian and Maurice watched Lyra play near the observation deck. The creature's small body shimmered, reflecting the light of the setting suns. It was chasing shadows of alien birds, its movements graceful and joyful. Maurice whispered softly, "It's happy here, and so are we. It feels like everything we've worked for finally matters." Adrian nodded. "Yes, humanity has always dreamed of the stars, of discovering life beyond Earth, but Lyra has shown us something more. That our greatest gift isn't exploration or technology, it's empathy, connection, and adaptation. That's what makes us extraordinary." Lyra paused, blinking at them, then hummed a soft, melodic sound. It seemed almost like a thank you. Adrian felt a lump in his throat. He realized that this small being, alien, fragile, and mysterious, had done something remarkable. It had shown humans their own potential. The station AI, EOS, spoke calmly, breaking the quiet. "Observation complete. Lyra's behavior indicates continuous learning, advanced problem-solving, and interspecies communication. Implications for human-alien collaboration are significant. Recommendation: expand contact and research." Adrian smiled at Maurice. "EOS is right. This is only the beginning. Lyra has opened a door for humanity, a door to understanding, growth, and connection across species." Maurice looked down at Lyra, who reached out and touched her cheek gently. "We've learned so much from it," she said softly. "But I think it's taught us what it truly means to be human." Adrian agreed. Humanity had long thought survival depended on strength, cunning, or technology, but the lessons of Lyra were clear. Humanity thrived because of its capacity to connect, to adapt, and to guide. That capacity could shape their future, not just on Kepler 442b, but across the stars. Weeks passed, and the colony grew more confident. Humans and Keplerian creatures learned to coexist peacefully, guided by the lessons Lyra had taught. Small settlements were established, research teams worked closely with native life, and humanity's presence became one of collaboration, not conquest. Adrian often reflected on the journey. The night Lyra had first appeared, he had doubted, questioned, and feared. But now he understood that the small alien had been more than a discovery. It had been a teacher, a bridge, and a symbol. Maurice and Lyra often sat together, observing alien sunsets and humming melodies that seemed to harmonize with the world around them. Adrian joined them frequently, noting patterns, studying interactions, and feeling a profound sense of hope. One evening, as they watched the sky light up with the twin moons rising, Adrian said softly, "We came here to survive, but now we are thriving." "Lyra has shown us the way," Maurice nodded. "And maybe that's the promise of humanity. Not just survival, not just technology, but connection, understanding, and trust." Lyra hummed, reaching for both Adrian and Maurice, its shimmering skin glowing softly. It was small, fragile, and alien, but its presence radiated something larger, the essence of what made humans extraordinary. Adrian realized then that humanity's true future was not just in exploration, not just in conquering the stars, but in forming bonds that transcended species, using empathy and adaptability to shape a new era. And in that moment, under the golden glow of Kepler 442b's suns, he understood something deeply profound. Humanity's greatest gift was not what they could build or what they could control, but what they could teach, guide, and inspire. Lyra's eyes blinked at them, a soft hum vibrating in the air. The small alien being had changed everything. It had shown that humans were capable of greatness not through might, but through heart. As the twin moons reflected across the mineral rivers, Adrian, Maurice, and Lyra stood together, looking out over the alien world. The future of humanity was bright, full of promise, and entirely in their hands. In the vastness of the galaxy, where danger and the unknown waited at every turn, humans had discovered something extraordinary. Their strength lay not in domination, but in connection, empathy, and the courage to guide and inspire. Lyra's soft hum echoed through the evening air, a gentle reminder that humanity had passed its first true test. And now, with hearts full of hope, they were ready for whatever came next. Elysium Station was no longer just a colony. It was the beginning of a new era, an era where humanity would thrive, not just because of science, but because of the enduring, remarkable spirit of its people. And in the eyes of a small, shimmering alien child, humanity saw itself as it truly was: capable, resilient, and extraordinary.